Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Finding It with Father podcast. I am your host, Father Jose Alvarez. Glad, as always, to be with you. It's been delightful to have traveled with you throughout this second season of our podcast that is not slowly, quickly coming to its end. We have one more episode after today's, and it's just been delightful, right? Been delightful to explore all the different topics that we do to try to find the presence of God in our lives in so many different ways, and to find new life, in all these realities that God is behind in our lives. And today, since we're getting to the end of this podcast season, which we take, again, we mentioned this last week in last week's episode, we usually take a break after Memorial Day. We take a break for the summer, and we come back with a brand new season. We will, God willing, right? After Labor Day, brand new season of episodes. But, of course, a lot of people's mindset right now is on summer. What do people do in the summer? Well, they go on vacation, and quite often we travel. And it's very important. It's not only is it fun, but it's very life-giving. And that's what we're going to explore in this episode, an episode that we're going to call Finding It in Travel. And we've got a very special guest that I'll introduce in a couple minutes that knows a thing or two about travel. Quite the expert. But, before we bring her to you, okay, hey, like we've been doing all season, like we always do, we remind you to check out all of our past episodes, ones from last season, this season. Subscribe to our channel. We've picked up quite a good number of subscribers, new subscribers this year, so that you can get notified right when these episodes are released. You don't miss them. Give us a like, share the episodes. I know that many of you do, and consequently, we have new people, right, that tune into this podcast. I hear that feedback here and there. And, of course, hey, consider becoming a sponsor. Consider joining our sponsorship family. We just recently had an appreciation event for all of our sponsors that we love so much. It was a wonderful, wonderful evening, a great time had by all, and a very deserving night for them because, that support helps us to enhance what we do, bring life to you in fresher, newer ways, amongst other things. And, now this season is basically done, but you can already sign up to become a sponsor for next season. And all you got to do is contact either one of those two wonderful ladies, Virginia Del Pino, Denise Roca, and they'll go over the sponsorship packages that, for next year that you can consider. So we'd love to have you as part of our sponsorship family. And thanks again, of course, to all of our sponsors. Now, the quote of the week this week, of course, is related to our topic of the day, the topic of this episode, which is travel. This is actually, the source of this is anonymous, okay? And this is the quote. I like this quote. It says this: travel is the only thing you buy that makes you richer. Travel is the only thing you buy that makes you richer. How true it is, okay? It can put a little dent in your wallet, right? But it will create space, right, in your heart, your mind, your life. Very inspirational. And, we all need leisure. Travel very obviously takes us beyond our customary surroundings. Consequently, it expands our horizons. Now, someone who is very, very adept, well-versed, and well-traveled, no pun intended, is the guest that we have today. Her name is Mariela Cacciotti. She is a tour operator. Essentially, she puts trips together for groups of people, for companies, et cetera, et cetera. And very, very familiar with her work because she's the tour operator that I have been traveling with for many, many, many years. She's exceptional at what she does. She's got great passion for it. She's got great insights. Boy, she's got stories. I can tell you that. And aside from that, she also happens to be an employee here in our parochial school. She teaches electives, world languages. She can speak a few of them, and life skills, and very, very, very talented gal, good gal, and you're going to find this interesting. So let's welcome Mariela Cacciotti, and let's see what she's got to say about finding it in travel. Mariela Cacciotti, you are on the Finding It with Father podcast. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. And of course, you are the perfect guest for this episode. This episode, we're really focusing on travel, and an episode we're calling Finding It in Travel. I think at this time of year, as we approach the summer, of course, a lot of people, thanks be to God, are thinking about getting out because they need it. And you've been working in the travel industry for decades.
Yes,
and 40. Wow, that's as long as the Jews were in the desert trying to get out with Moses.
I was there too.
Yeah, wow. That was a rough travel.
It was.
Still
is.
Itinerary. But how did you get into all of this?
Well, to begin with, thank you for having me. Yeah. It's a pleasure. And how do I started this? I guess by passion. There's only one way. You can become a tour guide. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
It's only when you're passionate about what you do. Mm-hmm. Because, there's lots of things to put under consideration. I guess it has a lot to do with my family.
Because you're from
yes.
Uruguay originally.
I was born in Uruguay, but my family is coming from different
everywhere.
Places in the world, that.
Yes.
And I remember when I was very
and you went
young.
to high school in France, as I understand it.
Yes,
so your background is quite eclectic, of course. And your family ties are kind of eclectic.
The most interesting thing is that always in my family, my father, my mother, my brothers, my cousins, we were always very curious about the world.
Interesting.
And in my particular case, that got deeper and deeper because my grandfather on my mother's side came from Spain. There were lots of brothers that immigrated in different countries around the world after the war in Spain, blah, blah, blah. And I loved to spend the afternoons listening to him, telling me stories about,
right.
At the time when he immigrated, he had to do it by boat and changing on the islands and the stops. And says, wow.
So he sparked the imagination.
Yes, absolutely. On top of that, my father was passionate about archaeology. So when I didn't have my grandpa around telling me stories about adventure, my father was way more conservative into the history and why. And that kind of, put the little seed on me. And growing up, I realized when I was finishing high school, moving into college, that all my friends, I had a great time with my peers, but I saw all my girlfriends, they only had one thing in mind, and it was just getting married, have a family, and that's it. Life was kind of already settled and organized under that little box, which is great, but it wasn't for me. It says, no. This is perfect, but let me just...
It's a little too
breathe.
Settled.
Yes. I needed to, there's lots of things I need to do, to understand, to see. Not that you don't do that eventually together with a partner.
Right.
But when you're 20, whatever, you just don't think about organizing your life and then eventually traveling the world. No.
You want to explore the horizon.
Yes. And
some more than others, of course.
Through different possibilities, different channels that I had through my family, etc., I ended up applying for a position in Air France, the French airline. And that was during the Malvinas War in Argentina. And because of that, Air France replied to me that they could not offer me a formation position, a stage position, because of the war. Their European community was limited, blah, blah, blah. But they had forwarded my request to Iberia. Iberia, like a month after, replied to me, offering me a position, two choices. One was Mexico City, and the other one was Dakar in Senegal.
Wow.
And that was a formation stage for 3 years. And I
So you worked out of the car.
went to Dakar.
Wow. So that's more than a
Yes.
more than a world away. That's a whole
Absolutely.
totally different
Absolutely.
culture. And so through the years, essentially, you've been putting together tours or itineraries,
Yes.
right? For groups, for companies,
Correct.
requests, and then of course, I mean, and clearly, you know, I know you well because we've been traveling together for about what 20 years, maybe something like. We're coming up on that,
24, perfect.
right? So you know, you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot, and obviously, there's a lot that we can say about, you know, positive aspects of travel.
Of course.
What do you think what do people get out of travel from your perspective? What positive things did they get out of it?
Well, I think, you know, if you really think about the idea of traveling, I guess by definition, and I don't want to be just from the side of someone that really absolutely love what he does, but a human life on a natural definition, it's a pilgrimage in a certain way. It doesn't matter if your faith takes you towards specific areas in that pilgrimage, or you're just totally no faith whatsoever, but you still look for something.
Of
because
course,
that's
you're
the
looking
meaning
for,
of life.
Of
really.
course, everyone's looking for something.
Exactly. So, in the sense of
Everyone's looking for it.
the traveling definition inside the word pilgrimage applies again for both sides. If we start from the life per se is an experience, is a trip. Now, what you get out of that trip, to answer your question, is depending what you're looking for. Because you can organize your life specifically and pretending you control everything, and then you have the reality shock that you don't control anything because someone else does. And that is a way of interpreting life. That's a way of traveling. What maybe could be what the tourist in general does. You know, when you're a tourist, okay, you technically have an itinerary. On a daily basis, you do this.
Right.
And then, okay, you need to take the pictures. You need to try this food. You
Right.
need to see this site. Ta, 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 ta.
And you want to get out of like your normal, your habitual
Exactly.
environs.
But it's a big difference because the passion or the anxiety that takes the trip itself, combined with all that you need to do because everybody else tells you you have to do this.
Yeah.
You don't really
right.
enjoy 100% the trip. And again,
Right.
if we compare both, same thing happened in life when you try to control everything in your life and you realize that you can't.
And some travelers
Then-
are trying to be more controlling
Well,
than
that's a
others.
totally different story. Then you have the other side of the travel path, which is to travel as a traveler, per se. I don't know if it's the right word in English, traveler, viajero,
Yes. That works.
which is a totally different concept of being a tourist.
Right.
When you're a traveler, you allow the world to surprise you. And that is when it becomes a full experience.
You're saying that different people bring different perspectives
Everything
to their
is different.
travel.
Exactly.
You know, which is interesting because, you know, we tend to think of travel and sometimes we may think of it in very generic, one-size-fits-all terms. And
Right.
It's not that. I mean,
No. It's a good choice.
Yeah, you've done so many trips, so many groups, so many itineraries, et cetera, but, you know, they may have, excuse me, they may have similarities,
Of course.
but they're all very different.
Absolutely.
You know, I
Absolutely.
know just thinking back to the trips we've
Yeah,
done
yeah,
together,
yeah.
and there's quite a
Oh.
few of them, and you know, they're not identical. I mean,
No.
they have similarities. They groups
Absolutely.
have
That's
different
why I
dynamics.
insist on this because we'll give the definition of traveling as a tourist for granted. But from my side, from this side of the picture, it's a totally different thing. For example, you have no idea how many times I have my own passengers, after we come back from a trip, sending me pictures of where we've been, asking me, where is this? So he said, what do you mean, what is this?
It was like that movie a long time ago, if it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium kind of thing.
Exactly.
They don't remember. It's all a blur.
It's all blur.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to express here, the difference, because there is an important difference.
But clearly,
travel and a tourist is a totally different way of understanding. Both of them are good. Let me be clear on this.
Sure.
It's just what you really look for when you go through that experience. And when we compare that to life, in my case, that applies exactly for life itself. Now, where God is in all this,
well,
I think He's always present.
He is always present.
In my case, I never look for Him when I travel.
Well, you're not consciously thinking of it because you're too busy working logistics.
That's exactly the thing. I don't need to look for Him.
Yeah.
He always found me first.
Yeah. Oh.
Because there's a flight cancellation. I have to solve that, so I need patience.
Yes.
There's a train that is in strike. Okay, I have to improvise. Oh, that's Him talking to me.
Right.
This is not just me.
Yeah.
So in my case, I have a very particular relationship with God because, He's always present, mainly when I take a flight, because I don't like to fly. And every time there's a turbulence, I become the most passionate and...
Yes, I've experienced it sitting next to you on planes.
Okay. You don't have to be into details.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
Yes.
But regardless, I mean, one of the things you always hear about, travel, you say, boy, it really opens up horizons to people because they're exposed. Life is a lot broader. It makes them aware that life is a lot broader than they perceive it quite often. And it's interesting too how sometimes, and certainly you can probably attest that it's my case, if a destination works for you and you find life in a particular destination, you keep wanting to go back to the same
I know a couple of
destination. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yes.
And it's interesting because even in life, St. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, used to recommend when people would be making the spiritual exercises, one of the steps is that, he tells them, okay, wherever you have found consolation, where you have found in a place or in a certain activity, go back to it because God is giving you life there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But God can give life in so many ways.
Yeah, exactly. Depends. Again, I think the beauty also in the travel experience is just allowing yourself to be surprised. I mean, not to take that as a challenge along the way, but just to reason it totally the opposite.
Yeah, some travelers, and certainly you've seen it, I've seen it, they can stifle the experience because they have... they want to control it, and they have preordained.
Well, that's again, that's the same thing.
In
not
life.
Necessary overseas. You do it here at home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
But definitely, what you just mentioned is very important because that's part of also the experience of traveling and learning how to be a good traveler. You start recognizing away from your comfort zone in other places. That could be also my comfort zone with a different context, with a different experience, giving me a lot of things to grow up. I mean, meeting new people, speaking new languages, trying new food.
Right.
So all that I thought it was so solid and my own comfort zone, home, you apply them and you find them somewhere else. And that, as the growing experience as a human being is one of the most beautiful things.
Yeah.
Because you grow up not just spiritually, you also grow up as a tolerant person, as a human person. Understanding that different doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It's just different. So let's try to see in that difference, wow, but I didn't know this. I tend to judge because everybody does. And then
I was going to mention, something that I've experienced, and you often hear people say after a trip or whatnot. You go abroad, you experience all these different new dimensions, what you just described. They go back, and they can appreciate home
Absolutely.
a lot more. It's interesting because usually on that with groups, the flight back home, you just hear the conversation. You talk to people from the group on the long flight,
Right.
and they're talking about, as soon as we land, I'm going straight to this restaurant, or I'm going straight to this, and they're craving for the familiar, and there's this deep appreciation for going to this restaurant or whatever that they would never go to habitually.
That's true. That is true. But I mean, I think that's a beautiful thing.
One of the things that I've noticed in the groups that we've traveled with, and of course we have repeat travelers, right? You form a bond, and it's precisely that one of the most beautiful things that I've seen that is a fruit of travel. If in this particular context, you tend to remember the people that you travel with,
right?
Especially if a trip or a destination is very good. It creates a very, very tight bond.
Yeah.
A lot of my very good friends are the people that we have traveled with.
I know.
And that have been repeat. It almost becomes a
throughout the years,
family of
course.
sorts.
But what you experience together in an insecure place is something that creates automatically a bond.
Yes, correct.
Okay, let's just help each other. Let's just
People somebody gets sick on a trip.
Many times. Or at nighttime, let's go for a walk. But
it brings out the best in people.
Absolutely.
It brings out the best in people.
There's a say in the industry: if you really want to know someone that you think you know, travel with it.
Very interesting. Wow, I've never heard that. That's good.
It is totally.
I could have used that as the quote of the week.
No, but it's true. It is.
Yeah,
totally
that's
true.
fascinating.
And also because being away in a certain way liberates you from everything. The moment you get on a plane, you're a different person. Okay?
Yeah.
That happens to everybody. The moment you get to that destination, just because everything is new, it's like you allow yourself to experience that. Crazy to think, because sometimes here at home, you are limited by your own mind. Because you could do the same thing here. You just allow yourself to do it away. Because you kind of imagine that the freedom of the 2 weeks vacation, and that's how I feel.
Well, you have less. You do leave behind. Not in your case, because you're working it, right?
Yes.
But the traveler, right, is leaving behind the responsibilities, unless they're doing their own thing, right?
I know.
Then they've got to manage.
But that's part of the experience also. Again, everything is so tight for me in my mind that it's very difficult to separate one thing and another. What you just said makes a lot of sense for a normal person. For me, there's no difference.
Yeah.
Because that problem, that responsibility is with you there.
Right. No, right, correct.
It's just allowing you that 10 minutes freedom of your mind to do whatever, which not necessarily you do here. That is the problem. One thing in Europe, we always kind of don't understand. How come in here, in America, we only have 2 weeks vacation on a year basis, and eventually you cannot take the 2 weeks together?
Yeah, right.
Where do you want to go in a week?
Right.
How much experience are you supposed to get in a week? I mean, between the jet lag, if you go to Europe or Asia, whatever.
Well, you hear,
it's gone.
A lot of times you hear people say, "Oh my God, I need a vacation from my vacation."
Of course.
And in your case, my God.
Yeah, I know.
you tend to come back rather smoked.
I know. I do.
Because you travel all summer.
Yes,
travel all.
I do.
You're working with groups all summer, and then you come back to the work year.
I leave
in our
the day
parochial
after,
school,
and I come back the day before.
Yeah. I don't know how you find the energy. Trust me, you still have it. You still have it. Now, what about where are you going this summer?
Okay, this summer I'm going to a couple of interesting places. I'm going to Malta. I'm going to Cyprus. I'm
Wow.
going to Sicily. I'm going to Prague. I'm going to Budapest.
Don't get too close to the Middle East. That's what I would
No,
recommend.
well, Cyprus is going to be the
Yeah,
closest.
close
Yeah,
enough,
yeah,
but far enough.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
thanks be to God.
Dealing with, we'll see all the hectic situations between ferries, airlines, and whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
But again, that's God's finding me. Is like, okay, let's just breathe. Guys, we have to sleep at the airport.
it's always in flux.
Yeah.
Listen, that's as it was in the beginning, is now, never shall be.
No.
In the world of travel, things change.
But that is also
that's life.
interesting. That is also interesting, and I reattach what you mentioned at the beginning. Also, during those very struggle situations, mind you, it is stressful for me. People get upset, of course, and with reason. But maybe I'm blessed for that, because even through difficult times that I had to face in almost 40 years doing this business in uncontrollable situations, people understands. People react upset at it, and then okay.
Yeah.
Because
it's a reaction.
exactly.
Yeah.
We don't control it.
Right.
So, okay, I know it's difficult, and I know it's difficult also to have said, okay, you know what, at the end, this is my trip, this is my vacation, I pay for this, which is totally... What do you want me to do? We can sleep at the airport or on the streets.
It's like,
have a choice.
listen, it's like construction, or you do some home improvement thing on your house
Yes.
or whatever. It never goes
Never
according
goes
to
accordingly.
plan.
And I think
you
that's
just,
part of the trip.
exactly.
Again,
Well,
it's always life. It goes parallel.
That's great,
In
yeah.
here, you have a regular life. Okay, you have a path. You go toward a final destination. You don't know what that is or when that is.
it teaches you a lot about life. That's
Yes,
for
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. And then
But
people.
In any case, we really thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Father.
Happy travels, happy and safe travels this summer, and ongoing travels. We'll keep doing this,
we will.
right? As long as our health allows us to
Absolutely.
to do so. God willing. And
San Sebastian is always
yes. That's one of my preferred
I know.
destinations. You know all about them, but in any case, thank you again.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very
Keep
much,
doing
Father.
what you do.
Thank you.
You do it exceptionally well, and
Thank you, Father.
and the people who travel with you will attest to that. I can attest to that as well. So,
Thank you.
bon voyage.
Merci.
There you have it, right? Fascinating guest and really wonderful stuff, inspirational stuff. I think we all very much look forward to our travels and, planning, the next destination, et cetera. So enriching. So we've got to look forward to that soon enough. And now next week, right, we're wrapping up Season 2 of this podcast, and in our final episode, we're gonna do a little bit of a recap, right, about what we did this season, right, and what life this podcast brings about. So we're gonna call this final episode "Finding It" in Finding It with Father. So make sure that you tune in as we take a look back through this past season and all the good stuff and all the new life that we have picked up and hopefully, facilitated to you, our audience. So, hey, in the meantime, keep trying to find it. Keep trying to find the Lord, who's always finding you, right? Make sure that He helps you find it, and we will catch you next time. One more time.